Thank you, everybody, for attending tonight, both here and online. We're going to start with roll call, and we'll start with Jeannie, work our way around the table, and then we'll have our guests also give their name. Jeannie Gish.
Lauren Tice-Miller.
Tim Howlesy.
Jason Schultz.
Erica Price.
Rocky Business.
Rosa Cavazos.
Renee Hansen.
Eric Deecher.
All right, thank you for coming. We will start with the approval of the agenda.
Move for approval.
Motion by Jason.
Second.
You want paper, rock, scissors it, or?
She can have it.
Second by Renee, all in favor? 7-0. All right, we'll move on to communications. Comments and concerns from patrons. This is an opportunity for district patrons to address either topics directly relevant to the business of the district or items on the current board agenda. All comments must be directed to the board, to the president of the board or presiding officer. Individuals will be given 3 minutes to present ideas, opinions, and or concerns. And I think tonight we just have Mr. Tim Watts.
As always, thank you for the time. From discussing what went well last year and what parents and students are concerned with, I've got some topics that I wanted to just present to the board as you guys discuss some district goals, I believe is on the agenda tonight. So one of them is to create consistency by committing to parental and student choice on the health-related topics, just like it is now. So when my daughter and son just played in the Sunflower State games, they were out there. It was parental choice on what we did as far as, masking and vaccine and, everything that we did within those activities. We've had over 18 months to analyze and determine what is safe for our families, and max vaccines and other decisions around personal health choices should just be with the parents and the students and obviously the teachers as well. We know that healthy living helps prevent severe reactions to COVID. I think we should also continue to promote healthy lifestyles. Create a Shawnee High scorecard with information on academic performance, any learning loss and root cause, social and emotional metrics, bullying, and any other pertinent information from teachers, parents, and students. Last year, there was lots of information at the school boards around COVID and how we were going to handle that, but not consistent information on some of those topics that I just brought up. And then put forth steps in our curriculum standards to ensure education remains the focus in the classrooms. A few teachers have talked to me because a few parents have been concerned about critical race theories and principles being brought into the classroom. I was very happy from the teachers that I talked to. They said that isn't in our school district. And I think that it would help out with a lot of what parents are concerned about if the board could make some statements and policies around keeping it that way. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. All right, next we have the Neighborhood Revitalization Program.
Good evening. Thank you all for having me. Bill Finder with the City of Topeka. I'll give you a very high-level overview of why this is before you, or will be before you, and then stand for any questions you may have, because I know not everybody was here 3 years ago. We usually do this every 3 years. Long story short, the city has enacted a tax rebate program for the last 26 years, and all taxing entities have typically participated within that area. Your school district happened to be added to that area last time, 3 years ago. Good news is the area that's part of that rebate area has shrunk for your district, but you still have a one property or one or two properties. It's the Reesers plan at 6th and Croco. So that everything north of 6th, east of Rice, is still in the rebate area. And that was based on we do a neighborhood health assessment, and so all of our most distressed neighborhoods by our vital signs show either an at-risk or an intensive care designation. And so those areas that continued to be that stayed in, those that graduated or improved were pulled out. So you have one or two properties in that area, and we're proposing to continue for another 3 years, the tax rebate program. So if that property was to come in and then make improvements, and I think in their case, a commercial property has to increase by more than 20% of their property value. So if they came in and did an expansion, for instance, they could apply and be eligible for a 10-year tax rebate. That would be just on the improvements. So just the increment that they caused by their improvements. You will not lose any current tax revenue that would be on that property, just the future 10 years. So in your case, you really have a very narrow scope here for how you're involved. So from as far as geographic changes, that's one change. We've also made a recommendation to include the Menninger Tower property in the eligible area. That is something that is afforded us by state law to go outside of the area and identify some dilapidated structure worthy of preservation. So that really fit the bill, and I think that's going to you'll see a repurposing of that building because of this rebate. So that's good news. We've been talking to a developer who's already signed on to it. So we just need to have that one change approved, and then I'd say the only other thing worth mentioning is we've also there is a downtown has a tax increment finance district that we're going to allow this rebate to match the 20-year horizon of that TIF incentive that we have downtown, because small businesses in particular, like to use this rebate. The larger projects may use the TIF, but we want to put it on equal playing field. So I'd say I'll stand for questions at this point. That's kind of, in my mind, are the key things worth recognizing changes, but I'm glad to help answer any further questions.
Does anyone have any questions? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
All right. Next, we're going to, next up is Edgenuity update. Maybe.
Okay, thank you so much for your time. Last board meeting, you had some questions about Edgenuity and its use and just some overall history of it, so I thought it would take just a few minutes. I'm sorry it did not make your board packet ahead of time, but you have a copy of what I'm talking about here. Just let me start off with some stats of how we used Edgenuity for summer school at the high school. We had 129 students attend, and collectively they earned 149 credits. So several kids were able to not only recover in one course, but they were able to recover in a couple of them. So I think we had one student that earned up to 4 credits. So that was a significant increase there. We also used Edgenuity this summer at the high school for 2 courses. One is Teen Topics. 136 students completed Teen Topics this summer, and 84 students completed Integrated Science A. We've been offering those 2 classes in the summer for a couple of summers now. That frees up students to be able to take some other electives. So our freshmen, if they can take Teen Topics prior to the start of their freshman year, that frees them up to take a year-long elective that they wouldn't otherwise get to take. Offering this integrated Science A also allows our students to take some other science courses or some other pathway courses. So we've had quite a bit of interest in that, and they take that through the Edgenuity. We've been doing that for several years. So those are students aren't taking those courses because they flunked those courses. That's preloading so that they can take some other opportunities. In our 2021 school year, we had approximately 130 to 170 students that took classes through Edgenuity. That was a moving target based on just different scenarios of students, their health, interest, moving different scenarios with their little kids, the siblings that they had to take care of and whatnot. So that's a snapshot of that. We had 153 students that were enrolled at least in one, if not both semesters for a credit recovery class. And I'll explain why a student might do that in just a little bit. SHARP is our at-risk program. Out at Forbes, there were 17 students that worked on multiple credits throughout the school year there. And that's approximately last school year about 320 students out of the 1,200 that were using Edgenuity in some capacity. On a normal summer school year, we have about 70 students that work on credit recovery. Now, most of that increase can be attributed to access. We were able to give kids busing to school versus in a normal summer school, we aren't. We are reliant on kids to get themselves here at the high school during the summer. So I can't tell you how much of that increase is due to COVID specific versus we were able to give them transportation to get here. So that was a big factor in the increase of students. Our credit recovery in a normal school year, we obviously don't offer remote during a normal school year. We have about 120 students that participate in that throughout the year. And then we still have the same 17 slots at SHARP. So that's a constant number there. So I wanted to take just a few minutes and talk to you about many different ways that our high school is utilizing to help our kids that are struggling for a variety of different reasons get the credits they need in order to graduate. And I'm going to start with the least restrictive. The first option is just credit completion. These are students that by the end of the semester, they just need to finish a unit, or they might need to retake a test or get some homework turned in or a project, and they just ran out of time. They're just behind and they tried to kick it in, the procrastinators, and they just weren't able to do that. So oftentimes what will happen is they will be assigned a staff member, whether that be Mr. West or a counselor or some of the other principals, and they will be following up with those students to say, here are your tasks that you have to complete to finish this course, and then checking up on them frequently to make sure they do that. They have about a month or so to finish that up and get the credit for the course. Then there are students that just are too far to finish, and so that's when they would be enrolled in a Foundations credit recovery class. Usually that's a semester-long class, and the students will use Edgenuity to work through that coursework during that class period, so not their whole day, but just a class period, and they'll work through that course and then get the credit that way. That's how a majority of our students use Edgenuity. If a student is not successful or they just still need more time, then they're invited to summer school. And if they flunked a class in May, for example, then they still have that option of credit completion, but they just do it on campus, just like the other ones were, but they do it in the summer, so they're invited to summer school. But we also have students that work on their credit recovery courses during the summer school time. And all of those things have always been the case prior to COVID, and we're still doing those great things to help kids be successful. Our new layer of intervention that will be put in place this year to hopefully mitigate the amount of kids that need help past this year due to COVID is we are adding a SHARP program on campus. So students will be enrolled in that class for half a day. So they will have a chunk. They will either be assigned in the morning or the afternoon, so approximately 3 hours, where they are in a room with someone kind of monitoring them and being there to answer questions, but they're working at their own pace through those courses. And so that will be a morning or an afternoon. That frees them up. They still can do Washburn Tech. They can do internships. They can still do some of their other elective classes or some of their core classes. So that's a nice addition. That is capped at about 18 to 20 students in the morning and another 18 to 20 students in the afternoon. We have not traditionally had that before. So that will be a nice addition to help reduce the number of kids that are needing credit recovery. Option 5 we've had for many years, and that's where we send a few students out to SHARP at Forbes Field. That's an all-day program. The kids get bused here to campus at the high school, and then from there, we bus them to Forbes, and then they spend the day working through their courses, and then they get bused directly home after that. So we provide transportation for those kids. It is really successful. Those kids have, they're just not a bell-to-bell kind of a kid. They really struggle with the homework completion and those things, so they can just work through the coursework at their own pace through the year. We have 2 staff members out there from Shawnee Heights that help them all the way through, and a lot of times kids in 1 year, instead of finishing 7 credits, will even get up to 10 credits in a year. So it's really successful for them. And approximately 90% of all those kids that are just struggling, that probably wouldn't make it if we didn't have that option, 90% of those kids actually graduate. Speaking of graduation, we did have a few kids that this summer in Edgenuity that were seniors that did not graduate with their class, but they now will be receiving a diploma. So they were able to come into the school, get their credits done, and now they will graduate. So I just wanted to explain real briefly what are the ways in which we use Edgenuity, and then give you a little bit of data on that because you asked. Can I answer any other questions for you?
One question I have is on the option 4, how many staff members are participating in that? Is it, because we have 2 out at Forbes, do we have 2 on campus that are?
That's a good question. I know for sure 1. We have 1 teacher. I don't know if Mr. West has an aide plan to be in there and helping that or not. I don't have an answer to.
Pretty sure it's just the 1
Okay.
school. The kids that will be staying on campus for that program are more successful in the school setting. The ones we send out to SHARP, they struggle in the school setting with just too much
Distraction, yeah.
and things that conflict their ability. The ones that are staying here have more success. They just need a little bigger chunk of time to do that. 3 hours a day helps with that. The other thing is when they're out at SHARP, if that teacher needs to leave the room and deal with somebody, there's nobody left there. That's a standalone program, so we had to have 2 people in that one.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
With the students that are going to be in option 4, are those freshmen through senior students, or are they just sophomore, junior, seniors?
I believe they would be more of a sophomore through senior thing.
Okay.
The freshmen haven't actually lost credits yet to be doing that.
And I guess mostly junior, senior.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you, Stacy.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, we'll move on to action items, business by consent.
Move approval.
Motion by Jason,
Second.
second by Eric, all in favor? 7-0. We'll move on to, what's next here? Set a date for goal-setting meeting. All right, we have a goal-setting meeting. We do this annually every year, and we've got it on here for August 2nd at 6 p.m., which would be prior to that board meeting, so we're not splitting that into 2 nights. I know one board member might be unable to attend. Is there anyone else that has a conflict? Everybody's good? Okay. Are you okay with that? Okay.
Should we set
Yes,
a
please.
second date, though, so that we can all attend, or is there not another date that everyone can attend?
We can check the second meeting in August, and I don't have that date right here in front of me.
16th?
16th? Is that getting too close to the start of school? Okay.
School starts that day.
It starts the 17th.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm fine either way.
Do we have to do it in, yeah, do we have to do it before a
No.
board meeting?
Not necessarily.
I just think it's important if all of us are in attendance.
I tend to agree.
The golf tournament for the
It's really
foundation
nice.
is the 9th.
It's
It's in the
just really
morning.
nice to hear everybody's voice when we're doing
It's
that.
in the morning.
Right, Jeannie?
I don't know if the 9th is a great idea. Just throwing
Can-
that out there.
Is
Okay.
someone not available on the 16th?
Who's not available? Is anybody not available on the 16th?
Can we do the 10th?
I am remarkably open.
That's a, is
It's a
that, it's a
Tuesday.
Saturday.
The 10th?
No.
I'm looking on the wrong month. I'm on the wrong month.
Like, maybe I'm at the wrong calendar.
I think that'll work. 10th would work for me.
Let me check my work calendar real quick.
Yeah, 10th would work.
So you just need more time, you want more time for us? Is that why you don't want to do it on the 16th?
I just thought because it was, school was in,
When do they start? On the 17th?
Somewhere there, the 16th.
They start the next day. Oh, they might start on that Monday.
I'm not opposed to 6 o'clock on the 16th. Anybody?
I'm
16th?
fine.
16th is good.
All right, so we'll need a motion. I'll move that we set the goal-setting meeting for 6 o'clock on August 16th.
Second.
Motion by,
It
sorry?
looks like that's also parent orientation night at the high school, so we may not be able to do it in here.
Oh. All right, let's go to the week before then.
Do you want, let's set it for that date, and we'll figure out a space for it.
Well, don't we have a regular, where's our regular board meeting? set
Yeah, we have a
for?
regular board meeting, so we have to be in here.
Would they be using this room for anything? I wish Mr. West was here. All right,
Okay,
Is it
Second.
freshman orientation?
yeah.
Okay.
okay. All right, let's keep it for the 6 o'clock on the 16th.
Second.
Motion by Erica, second by Renee. All in favor? 7-0. Write that down. Okay. Let's move on to approve adoption of Region J mitigation plan.
Yeah.
Let's go back, and we will go to approve policy updates.
My apologies, we hid that in there, yeah. A couple weeks ago, we shared with you the updated KASB policy update, simple language updates to comply with changes in federal and state statutes. It's a pretty straightforward adoption. We do this twice a year. Recommend approval.
I actually had a couple of questions, and I apologize, I didn't have a chance to read it the first time you sent it to us at the last meeting, but aside from the first couple of pages that are included in here, did CASB Legal give any kind of indication of why they changed the language? I mean, they simplified it significantly, and I think it has lost a lot, especially in the sexual harassment and the racial and disability harassment policies. And then the other cause of concerns that I have is in, where did it go? I think it was the GAF, where this one is the one that I thought was most concerning because they struck the sentence completely that says staff members shall not submit students to bullying, harassment, or discrimination prohibited by board policy.
They did not
They
share
did
the
not provide
specifics.
any justification?
No.
Okay. And and the harassment policies were significantly, I thought, narrowed down by changing the language to just any district education program or activity. So I have concerns with it. I think it waters down the policy, so I'm not in favor of it.
Lauren, could you give us specific pages on that? Because
Yeah, so.
looking at the one on page 12 on sexual harassment.
So also on page 29, is the racial and disability harassment, it strikes the language. So it looks like they tried to just simplify the language, but I have concern with how much they've simplified it, because originally it says racial or disability harassment of employees or students of the district by board members, administrators, certified and support personnel, students, vendors, and any others having business or other contact with the school district is strictly prohibited. And so the change is they strike that and they just say in any district education program or activity.
But it's potentially, someone could say that that broadens the language because it doesn't leave it in a narrow range of specifics, and it opens it up and potentially makes it broader.
And that's what I originally thought as well, but when you read further down, like, I mean, it also strikes out the language that says it doesn't have to occur on school grounds. And so, I mean, and I don't know if they think that by saying in any district education program or activity is broad enough to include those items not on school grounds. But to me, it doesn't seem specific enough to cover both our staff and our or our staff and students on school grounds and off school grounds.
Like for other activities that are school-related.
Correct. Or in my mind, if we have a student participating in some kind of program, educational program with an organization off campus, does this still cover that? And I'm not an attorney, and I didn't have an opportunity to call and ask these questions.
Is there a deadline in which we have to have these policies approved?
No.
Would it be?
Madam President, I move that we table this so that we can ask the question of a legal advice. So
I'll second.
Okay.
Motion by Renee, second by Erica, all in favor? 7-0. We'll table this till the next meeting, and then we'll get some answers for you.
Thank you.
Lauren, can you send me the specific questions you have on those?
Yeah.
I'll share it with you guys.
All right, now we move on to the very exciting approve adoption of the Region J mitigation plan.
Well, it is more exciting than a KASB update. So in our wonderful federal system, we have multiple levels of government that are able to do all kinds of great things in times of an emergency and natural disaster. One of the most difficult things, though, is coordinating all of those capabilities and services from that. So we entered into agreements with FEMA and Homeland Security and also the Red Cross. One of the great things about the district is we are a wonderful community asset in times of an emergency. The most common are shelter. If inclement weather knocks out power, schools are a great place where we can come and cool if it's in the summertime or heat in the wintertime. And so you often see facilities repurposed for those types of things. So we all enter into these agreements. It helps officials coordinate services among the different levels of government. It also has strings attached to that. So when we do apply for federal grants and sometimes FEMA money available for facilities, they check to make sure that we are indeed part of those agreements for that. This agreement is part of that as well. All school districts join that. We have an upcoming bond issue in probably 5 years. This will be one of the things that we look at. Are there certain parts and assets facility-wise in the district that would benefit the community in times of an emergency? And we could look at that. And if so, we would be eligible for some federal grants for that. So that'll be one of the things that we'll look at as well. So by us updating this and approving it like all districts do, it keeps us in line with that, helps us be a part of a coordinated response in case of an emergency. I recommend approval.
So moved.
Motion by Jason, second by Eric. All in favor? 7-0. All right, we'll move on to discussion items. Superintendent's report.
July is a busy month, as you all know, especially from a business standpoint. Been doing a tremendous amount of work with the budget. We are nearing completion of the budget. Ms. Hoyer and I spent some time down at KSDE Friday afternoon going through our budget review. Went very well. And so we were working on that. One of the big changes this year, and we mentioned it at the previous board meeting, is the budgeting process used to be fairly straightforward. It's a little more complicated this year, and that relates back to Senate Bill 13. So Senate Bill 13 this last session was passed, and the intent of that, Senate Bill 13, was to replace the property tax lid that was on local municipalities. And if you have any relatives, friends that had served on those, that is a challenge for them over the last several years. Senate Bill 13 was going to lift that, but also intended to provide some tax transparency. Schools were never meant to be a part of that. It wasn't designed for schools or public libraries for that matter. The reason it was not designed for schools is that we don't have the ability to blanket just raise taxes. We have tax lids statutory on all of our funds. The general fund is capped at 20 mils. You can't increase that. The LOB is capped by law. The cap outlay is capped by law. Bond and interest requires a vote from the public of that community to be enacted. And so schools are different types of taxing entities. And so they really didn't fit in this. But yet we were thrown in there at the last minute, so we are going down that journey with our friends in municipal government. So what that does is that it subjects to us to the revenue neutral rate. Revenue neutral rate is calculated by our county clerk. They share that with us. Because we live in a really good, thriving community, our valuations keep increasing each year, and what the revenue neutral rate does is tells you what it would be if you had to keep that flat and raise no more revenue. Ours naturally goes up each year. We will be in excess of that. So one of our statutory requirements this year is we have to notify the county clerk by tomorrow that if we intend to exceed the revenue neutral rate. We will exceed that by less than a full mil. It's about a 0.8 mil. We will exceed that, but we have let them know, so we have followed that part. Our overall mill levy from last year to this year is actually going to go down a little bit. But because assets have increased in value, the collections will be a little higher and thus higher than the revenue neutral rate. So we will have to have approval of that. We will ask the board to approve both the revenue neutral increase and then the budget for next year. And because the timelines have changed and actually extended out, we will push this back into September. So I anticipate that we'll have 2 special board meetings before the regular September 7th board meeting. They'll be short in nature, but we'll have to do 2 separate ones to each approve both the regular budget and then the revenue neutral rate. And so that's really the big change that's happened this year. So it's changed a little bit for all of us, but that's kind of a little bit of the history behind that and why we've had to do that. I was contacted by Commissioner Watson about 10 days ago. If you remember back in 2015, they did a really good statewide listening tour, talking to parents, business community members about what they envisioned for Kansas graduates, what the needs were, what did the local communities need, what did our students need to be able to move forward and be successful post-secondary. And we're going to do that 2.0 this time. We're going to update that. And Commissioner Watson is going to do a 50-city tour of the Kansas Can Success Tour this fall. Shawnee Heights will host that on September 9th, Thursday, September 9th, from 6 to 7:30. You are all invited. Educators, community members, business leaders, elected officials, anybody can come and it'll be a question and answer session, but also participatory in nature. They're going to want to get some opinions. We have a really good seat at the table because we are the wrap-up meeting. We are the last one on that. So they will have gathered a lot of information and data then, and it should be really informative as to the things that they're seeing across there. So we have a really good slot on that one, and that should be a lot of fun, and I would hope to see as many people as we can get there, and I think we'll do it out in the Commons, and it should be a lot of fun. But we would like to have at least 100 people or so there, and if we can get more, that'd be awesome. So we're looking forward to that. It should be a lot of fun and an interesting process as we start to update that vision of really what we want and need from our Kansas graduates across the state.
You said that was,
date again?
That is
September 9th.
September 9th,
September 9th.
Thursday, September 9th, 6 to 7:30.
I participated in one of the sessions back in 2013 and
So
thought
like
it was fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's really interesting because they give a lot of information on graduates across the state, but also what the business community is telling them that they need. Here's really what we need, and the data breakdown of what a successful student looks like, what is that ticket to a middle-class life, and because it's changed over time, and our students are going to need more skills and be adaptable as they have to battle with technology and competition and all those things down the road, and have the ability to reinvent themselves. It's a very interesting conversation, and it's also one that's really good for us as we look at our vision and what services we're providing for students across the board. So that'll be a really good conversation for all of us to be a part of. And then a reminder that we will be doing negotiations tomorrow at 5:30, and we're looking forward to that meeting as well.
I think it's at 6.
Is it 6?
Didn't we move it to 6?
I thought they were going to provide some
At 6.
heavier hors d'oeuvres.
It's
6?
at 6, right?
I'll be here at 5:30, Matt.
Just waiting
6
for your
o'clock.
food.
I'll be here early.
All
That is
right.
it.
Okay, questions, comments from board members? Anybody have anything?
Mine is super easy. I attended the dance camp last weekend, and those girls did phenomenal. We had 2 freshmen and 2 seniors were nominated for All-American, and which is a big deal in the dance world. And the 2 seniors made the All-American team, which is pretty cool. And their home routine, I can't remember because they won so many awards, which was great. And they won like the Ultimate Spirit Award, and like the camp voted on the team that they most wanted to be on, which happened to be the Shawnee Heights team. So I thought that was really cool. So it was a lot of fun. That's all I got.
Did we have a reminder that we're doing another shot clinic on, is it Wednesday?
We have not.
Tomorrow.
The
It's Wednesday.
21st.
Did that go out, Tiffany?
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw something, but I just thought maybe if someone was watching.
Yeah, second
Actually,
shot.
they-
Just the second?
They
They change it?
updated that. They'll take anybody. First or second shot, they're flexible.
All right.
Come.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
I just thought maybe we needed a reminder.
It's a good reminder.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I can't forget it because a whole bunch of people are getting shots and the day I gain another year on this earth, yay.
Okay, anybody else? Do you have another comment?
I have a shameless plug. There are a lot of kids in the school district who are involved in 4-H in one form or another. And starting this Thursday, the Shawnee County Fair kicks off, where 4-Hers, FFA members, and community members get to come out and show what they've worked on for the past year. There'll be community events, food, good fun, and just come on out and take a look and see what we have to offer. I climb off my soapbox.
Jason, you're on the fair board, is that right?
I am.
And I sit on the 4-H Program Development Committee, so.
Nice. It's your big week. It'll go well. It'll go well. All right, we're going to move on to executive session for negotiations. I move that we go into executive session to discuss negotiations pursuant to the exception for employer-employee negotiations under COMA. We will return in 30 minutes, which would be 8:10.
Second?
Oh, and we need to include Mr. Hirsch and Mr. Halsey.
Second.
Motion by Erica, second by Jason, all in favor? 7-0. All right.
Thank you.
Doing pretty good, time-wise. 25 minutes was awesome. All right, we need a motion to adjourn. Motion by Jason. We need a second.
Second.
Second by Rocky. All in favor? 7-0. All right.